Hey there, everybody. This is Dr. John Tantillo, the marketing doctor, for another episode of Brand Talk, another way to talk. And today we're going to be addressing the Vice President Harris brand. And I guess the best way to describe her is that she is the not brand. She's not Donald Trump and she's not Joe Biden. And as a result of that, there is a newfound enthusiasm, all right? And you can't underestimate that enthusiasm. The only problem is that the policies that she addresses, or she supports, I should say, is so different from the way most Americans perceive America. But what we call low propensity voters, okay, as well as Democrats, okay, uh, that doesn't mean anything. All right, uh, where where this falls is the fact that she is a woman, she is a woman of color, and that attracts a certain demographic. And once again, it can't be what I would say underestimated. And I have this conversation with a lot of my friends who are Trump supporters. How could people vote for? And they feel the same way about Donald Trump. How could people vote for him? Um, the other part of the ticket, by the way, I think that she's much more likable than her vice presidential pick, who's Walz, who, in my humble opinion, is just as obnoxious as Donald Trump. Okay, if you want to, I mean, he is really over the top and not likable, where at least she's likable. I just don't get how the media is going wild over him. I mean, he is just so bad. From an Easterner that I am, he makes Donald Trump look likable. I just can't, because he's what you call a Kia, a know-it-all. All right, and what does he know? I just think that he's so deep rooted in what he believes that anybody who disagrees with him gets a wisecracky kind of response. In my humble opinion, I just don't understand Waltz as a choice. I think, like many, that Shapiro in Pennsylvania would have been a better pick, which leads me to believe that Vice President Harris has an issue regarding her choices. And I just don't, and that's part of her brand. She was much more comfortable with him. And as a decision maker, you need to be able to have a variety of opinions crossing your desk. Now, some people may say that Donald Trump does not have that diversity, but initially he does. Where the problems become is after you disagree with the former president. That's where the problems lie. And he is what Trump basically, and I don't want to get too much off on Trump. Trump is a businessman with a tremendous ego. All right. By the way, all politicians have grandiose or opinions of themselves, and I mean that's exactly why he has had trouble uh, relating to people that are involved in politics for so many years. They just can't put up with his personality, and I get that. But let's get back to Vice President Harris, the Democratic nominee, who is having a big week coming up regarding the Democratic convention. The problem, as I see for Harris, is I think was the same problem that Biden had. Although some people will say it wasn't really his opinions or his policy, and which is that Joe Biden was not correct on any major decision of the 20th century. I mean, he was just always on the wrong side. He was not a good uh, executor of policy. He just was not. I mean, it goes on and on. And, don't get me going, but he was just all wrong for that. Regarding the oil and the energy, which caused inflation, which in turn, well, not which in turn, but also the border. In other words, he's just all wrong. And my friend Bill O'Reilly would say it really wasn't his policy. It was that but the people around him that did made these decisions for him. So with that said, what could I say? All right, for now, where Vice President Harris is vulnerable uh, are, as I mentioned, and this is what Trump should in fact focus on. And once again, when you talk to Trump supporters, they don't see it, they're too close to it. It's on policies, and the policies that are very, very consistent with the Harris Biden brand is number one, the border, or even number one, inflation. Number two, the border. And three, the chaos or the crime that is just out of control. All right. Some people say you're being much too critical, but if you focus on those three sources of problems that every American is experiencing, or the majority of Americans are experiencing, um, that's an issue. Now, the issue regarding socialism or communism, that is something that really should, in fact, be underscored. I'm not so much into communism, of branding of a communist, but so most certainly she's a socialist, and that is something that we really want to avoid. And also the idea of censoring freedom of speech, which this crowd that controls the Democratic Party really has problems with. At least I think so. That's one of the reasons why I left. All right. Um, okay. So those are the ideas that I have regarding the Kamala Harris brand, and I hope I have problems. I'm one of those white guys that have problems with the her name, and I'm sorry if I don't mean anything by it. It's just that I have problems pronouncing names and words and all of that. That's just not my brand. But I can assure you that it has really nothing to do with being prejudicial regarding her. I would hope that someday we can rate people's um, proficiency at or competence regardless of what color they are. You're either good or bad. That's the way I look at it. I don't look at colors of skin or minority groups or any of that. I just take people for who they are as people, and I would hope that we get back to that. And anyway, I got to tell you, those people who are never Trumpers, I can understand that. I have one dear friend, I won't mention his name, but he's a dear friend. I've known him since high school. And he was a former Republican, and he just can't tolerate Trump. Now, I can relate to that in the sense that I'm a blue collar guy. I grew up about 7 miles from Donald Trump. He grew up on the other side of the tracks. He grew up in Jamaica Estates. I grew up in Ridgewood, Queens, a blue collar area. And all my life, I have tried not to say things that Donald Trump has no uh, reservation about saying. So I would never criticize intentionally people, but I would do it unintentionally. And it took me to about 70 years old. I'm still learning. I'm 73. So I'm still learning how to finesse my, um, my speech as not to alienate. But when you are uh, a player as Trump is and you're in business, you don't have time to worry about all the nuances of the words that you use, even though you should be. Uh, you just uh, you just shout them out, and that's where I wish he could edit a little bit and not be as how could I say obnoxious. All right. A good guy to there are two guys that I watch or I listen to. One is Bill O'Reilly. He's a friend of mine, and I think he really can analyze Trump well. And the other one is Charlie Gasparino, who works for the Post, and you see him on Fox. These two can really give you an idea of what Trump is doing incorrectly. So I watch them, and Charlie's got a book out called Woke and Go Broke, Go Woke and Go Broke. And I'm going to try to get him to speak to my students at Toro. So that's about it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope you found this Brand Talk segment worthwhile. And remember to go brand yourself. Thank you. Bye bye.